Hey guys, in this video I am going to explain the movie Morbius, based on Marvel Comics. At a private hospital in Greece, 10-year-old Michael Morbius welcomes the arrival of his surrogate brother Lucien. Morbius called him Milo instead of his real name. Both suffering from a rare blood disease, preventing their bodies from creating blood. After Morbius manages to save Milo's life by fixing his broken blood pump, their mentor and adoptive father Emil Nicholas arranges for Morbius to study at a special school for geniuses in America, while continuing to care for Milo himself. 25 years later, now 35-year-old Dr. Michael Morbius received a Nobel Prize from the King of Sweden for having developed synthetic blood that has saved millions of lives. But he refused it due to it failing as a long-term treatment for his specific disease. He returns to his laboratory, where his colleague and fiancée Martine Bancroft discovers that Morbius had captured multiple Costa Rican vampire bats to cure his condition. Martine Bancroft derides him for illegal experiments he is conducting with dangerous vampire bats he had illegally stolen from the Amazon rainforest. Morbius develops an experimental treatment using the DNA of vampire bats for a cure for his blood disease and is tested by injecting it into a mouse. The experiment was a success. Morbius later informs Nicholas and Milo of his illegal experiment and is funded by his surrogate brother Milo. Both Milo and Morbius have the same disease. Morbius continues his experiments with the help of Martine on a cargo ship in international waters and develops a working cure. He experimented on himself with a treatment he had developed from the DNA of vampire bats, which resulted in him being turned into a vampire. However, after Morbius breaks free of his bonds and climbs to the ceiling, Martine absent-mindedly opens his containment field, causing Morbius to escape. Experiencing extraordinary and strange side effects, like a vampire, Morbius attacks the crew aboard the private mercenary vessel, massacres the entire crew, and drinks them of their blood. During the conflict, Martine is rendered comatose after tripping and hitting her head on the ground. Coming to his senses once his bloodlust has subsided, the horrified Morbius erases all CCTV footage of his experiments when having seen the horrors he has caused, contacting the authorities before jumping off the ship. Returning to New York City, Morbius continues his experiments. After seeing the hospitalized Martine Bancroft, Morbius experiments with his vampire-like abilities. He discovers that the solution to not turning into like a vampire is to drink blood. But it only works for a short time. He realizes his superhuman abilities, finding out that his original set of vampire bats view him as a bat, and that he now has superhuman Olympian strength and echolocation powers. Elsewhere, FBI agents Simon Stroud and Alberto Rodriguez investigate Morbius's victims and deduce his involvement. After Milo arrives at his lab looking for Martine, unaware of her coma, he is surprised to see Morbius cured of his disease and seeking blood. Milo gives him a blood bag in time and demands the cure. Morbius, back to normal, replies he simply cannot for Milo's own good. Milo still begging for the cure, but Morbius refuses to give him the cure and yells at him to get out. The agents interviewed Martine for more details on the incident aboard the ship. Later, while visiting his patient Anna at their hospital, Morbius finds a nurse has been drained of her blood and killed. He rushes to exit the hospital, confronted by the agents. They are thwarted by Morbius's powers after trying to convict him, and he escapes to the roof of the building, halted by Stroud. He is then held prisoner at the Manhattan Detention Complex, where he writes about his incoming limit to artificial blood. In prison, Morbius is met by Milo posing as his lawyer, who promises to use his connections to have him freed. After Milo leaves without his cane, Morbius realizes he had taken the cure and most likely killed the nurse. Morbius escapes from prison to confront him. Hearing him kill a man who mocked Morbius for his original disability, Morbius finds Milo using his superhuman abilities, Milo admitting that he killed the nurse, but only due to the same bloodlust that caused Morbius to kill the ship's crew. Milo asks Morbius to join him in embracing their truer selves and live as vampires. Before killing a group of police officers attempting to arrest Morbius, a battle ensues between Morbius and Milo. Then Morbius realizes his ability to fly and leaves from there. The next day, Morbius meets with Martine Bancroft, telling her of Milo's involvement and asking her to stay away from him. Morbius acquires a new lab from some counterfeiters to work from and develops an antidote to turn Milo back to normal. Elsewhere, Agents Stroud and Rodriguez finds footage of one of Milo's attacks. Recognizing Milo as someone other than Morbius and his vampirism spreading throughout the city, they released it to the media. Although virtually unrecognizable, Milo is recognized by Nicholas, who goes to his apartment and pleads with him to stop, deriding Nicholas for always treating Morbius as daddy's favorite. Milo mortally wounds him and tells him to call Morbius. As Morbius responds to Nicholas's phone call and goes to his side, seeing him die, Milo makes his way to Martine and mortally wounds her. Hearing her final moments, Morbius travels to her location. He makes his way across the city and shares a last kiss with Martine. He holds her in his arms as she dies before feeding on her blood. After that, a big fight takes place between Morbius and Milo. Morbius tackles him into the sewers before summoning an army of thousands of bats from the sewers and setting them upon Milo, keeping him motionless long enough for Morbius to use his compound on him to turn him back into a normal human. Morbius injects an antidote into Milo's body, causing him to lose his superhuman powers. Tearfully accepting of Morbius for having given him his name, Milo dies in his arms. Morbius leaves as soon as the authorities arrive. He takes flight with the vampire bat swarm in full sight of the city, embracing his identity as a vampire. Elsewhere, Martine is brought back to life by her newly developed vampire-like powers during the post-credits scene. After an incident in another universe, Adrian Toomes finds himself transported to Morbius's universe by a magic spell. Sometime later, knowing the reason was something to do with Spider-Man, he contacts Morbius himself, seeking to form a team of people like them to do some good, which Morbius finds intriguing. That's all for this video. If you liked the video, then don't forget to like and subscribe for more upcoming videos like this.